Good evening, everyone, and welcome. We really appreciate you logging on to be a part of tonight's discussion. My name is Mario Renteria, and I am the Public Information Officer for the City of El Centro. We organized this virtual gathering to have a conversation and share information about Measure T. Civic engagement is vital to our city, so we are eager to hear your thoughts and answer your questions later in the program. Please don't hesitate to speak up during the Q&A. Thank you again for being here and for your continued dedication to the city of El Centro. Just a few quick housekeeping items before we begin. Tonight's webinar is being recorded for people who couldn't make it live. As attendees, your cameras and microphones are turned off, but we still value your participation. Please drop your questions into the Zoom Q&A box at the bottom of your screen at any time. We will end right at 7 p.m. If time runs out before we get to your question, we encourage you to email us at publicinfo@cityofocentro.org so we can respond directly. Keep in mind that we might group similar questions together to cover as much ground as possible. The full video will be available on the city's website and YouTube channel. As for our agenda, we'll start by discussing what is Measure T, how it will appear on the ballot, the application of Measure T if it passes, and frequently asked questions surrounding Measure T. Measure T, the El Centro Public Safety City Services measure, proposes a local half-cent transactions and use tax increase to help maintain general services. If approved by voters, Measure T would adjust El Centro's total sales tax rate from 8.25% to 8.75%. This half-cent adjustment is estimated to generate approximately $8.4 million annually in local controlled revenue for the general fund. The City Council voted unanimously on June 16 to place Measure T on the November 3rd ballot. Unlike state or county taxes, 100% of Measure T funds are legally guaranteed to stay in El Centro. The state and county cannot take or redirect a single penny. The measure includes mandatory strict fiscal oversight requiring annual independent financial audits and public spending disclosures. As a general tax, if Measure T passes, revenue would support day-to-day operations and core municipal services. It could help maintain rapid 911 response times, support neighborhood crime prevention, and help retain and attract well-trained firefighters, paramedics, and police officers. It could provide funding to repair local streets and potholes, keep parks and public areas clean and safe, improve driver pedestrian safety, and address homelessness. It could help maintain youth recreation, aquatics, senior programs, library services, and local business retention initiatives. El Centro serves a daytime population of roughly 75,000 residents, workers, and visitors, creating continuous demand on our police, fire response, and street infrastructure. Sales tax is our primary operational revenue source. Following a 4.61% growth in fiscal year 24-25, sales tax performance is flattening, with a projected 0.99% dip in fiscal year 25-26. While the city holds approximately $38.7 million in reserve funds, these savings are set aside for natural disasters, major emergencies, or economic downturns. They are not to be used to fund daily ongoing operational costs. Now let's review the exact language as it will officially appear on your ballot on November 3rd. Shall the measure maintaining 911 response, helping prevent crime, retaining, attracting well-trained firefighters, paramedics, police, repairing streets, potholes, keeping public areas, parks safe, clean, increasing driver, pedestrian safety, addressing homelessness, retaining, attracting local businesses, maintaining youth recreation, senior library programs, other general city services, establishing a half-cent sales tax, providing approximately $8.4 million annually until ended by voters, requiring audits, public spending disclosure, all funds locally controlled be adopted. Note that the language explicitly highlights accountability mechanisms, independent audits, spending disclosures, and 100% local control. We will now explore the sales tax application if Measure T passes. What is not taxed? Essential items like groceries, prescription medications, and rent are completely exempt from sales tax. What is taxed? The tax applies to general retail goods, consumer purchases, dining out, and auto sales. Because El Centro is the commercial hub of the region, visitors and out-of-town shoppers who shop and dine here will contribute to maintaining the local services and roads they use. Now let's put this into practice. This side-by-side comparison shows how Measure T would affect an everyday shopping receipt if approved by voters. Groceries like grapes and apple juice remain tax-free on both receipts, while taxable items totaling $100 see a half-cent local tax adjustment. On this $100 purchase of taxable goods, Measure T would add 50 cents. In other words, on a $20 restaurant bill, if Measure T passes, it adds 10 cents. Residents can also visit the city's website to use the interactive Measure T budget calculator to estimate how the half-cent adjustment could affect individual purchases or monthly spending if it is passed by voters. Now let's examine how every sales tax dollar spent in El Centro is currently split versus how it would look if Measure T passes. This is the current breakdown. For every dollar you spend, you are taxed 8.25 cents. The state receives 6 cents. The county receives 0.75 cents. And this includes regional transportation district taxes. The city of El Centro receives 1.5 cents, and this includes the base rate and Measure P capital tax. To the right of the slide is the proposed breakdown if Measure T is approved by voters, where you would be taxed 8.75 cents for every dollar spent. The state share remains 6 cents. The county share remains 0.75 cents. The city of El Centro share increases to 2 cents. The entire additional half cent goes directly to the El Centro's general fund. El Centro residents will have the opportunity to vote on Measure T on the November ballot. Residents are encouraged to review complete background information and materials on the official City of El Centro Measure T information page. That concludes our presentation, and we will now be moving into our Q&A session. To ask a question, click the Q&A icon on your control bar. Type your question into the text field and click send. Now, Valerie Nevades is here to join me to help me moderate the Q&A session.
Hi, Mario. Thank you. All right, as Mario mentioned, please drop your questions into that Q&A box. And while we have people dropping questions in, why don't we move over into some frequently asked questions that we have seen. So let's go into the first one. If Measure T were to pass, how much will it cost?
A half cent per dollar increase would equate to 10 cents on a $20 meal. Essential items like groceries, prescriptions, and rent are exempt.
Thank you. I have another question, Mario. If approved, what would the funds be used for?
The funds would be used for essential general services like repairing roads, maintaining 911, police, and fire response, keeping parks clean, and supporting youth senior library programs.
Right. And then how is proper spending ensured if Measure T were to pass?
That would be done with the mandatory annual independent financial audits, public spending reports, and legal requirements that 100% of funds stay local.
Thank you. All right. Please drop any questions you may have in the Q&A box. I'm going to move over to another question, Mario, here that I have seen frequently asked is why is the city proposing this measure?
The cost of providing basic municipal services continues to increase. Simultaneously, the city's primary ongoing funding source, sales tax, is projected to level out and projected to dip slightly. While the city holds emergency reserve funds, these savings are not intended to pay for daily operational costs, such as keeping fire stations fully staffed or maintaining routine police patrols.
Thank you, thank you. Any questions that anyone wants to ask, please drop it into the Q&A box. We'll give it about another minute to allow for questions to come in. And Mario, I know you already went over this, but we did have a couple people join during this time. So can you just briefly explain again what is Measure T?
Of course, Valerie. Measure T is a proposed half-cent sales tax increase placed on the November 3rd, 2026 general election ballot by a unanimous vote of the City Council. If approved by the voters, it is projected to generate approximately $8.4 million annually, which could help fund essential city services.
Fantastic, thank you. Alrighty, well, I'm not seeing any questions into this Q&A box here, so I think that will... any questions you may have, please drop it into the Q&A box at the bottom. So we won't be doing the raise hand motion, but we will be taking questions in the Q&A box. If you need help finding your Q&A box, it is going to be at the bottom of your screen with the chat and Q&A next to it, next to the option of leave there. Okay, Mario, I am not seeing any questions coming in through the Q&A box here, so I think we can wrap this up.
Thank you, Valerie. And thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for taking the time to join us for this presentation. Before we conclude, I'd like to remind everyone that this presentation will be available on the City of El Centro's YouTube page and official website, www.cityofelcentro.org. Additional information on our budget can also be found on our website. If you have any further questions, comments, or concerns, please feel free to contact us at publicinfo@cityofelcentro.org. We also encourage you to follow the City of El Centro on social media for future updates and information. Thank you again for watching, and we hope you have a great rest of your day.